everybody. Welcome back to the newly launched Let's Talk Live podcast channel. I'm super excited to be back here live. I know that you're all excited to be here as well. I know my times and my dates have been a little bit messed up. I will get back to my regular blah, 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 my regular schedule soon as my work kind of life balances out here. But I am super excited to say today is June 2nd, 2023, and this is the first official episode on the newly launched Let's Talk Live panel. I'm still the opinionated idiot. I'm still all here for you, but we got the new brand and the new channel. And with bringing in the new channel, I have a fantastic guest, someone that we have missed on the show dearly. Laura's in the house. How are you?
Greetings, everyone. I'm doing great. A lot better than I have been the past week.
It's good to have you back.
Thanks. Great to be back.
So you're feeling better?
Much.
Good. And
ready to take this on.
Ready to take it on. So we got a lot to go through this evening.
Oh,
I know that the topic of the show, we were going to start out and kind of talk, the new documents. We found some things out in Google, and I have some answers for that. And that was kind of by mistake because we've been, it's funny, my small group of mods lately, we've been kind of doing this really late night talking and researching sessions. And we've come across a lot of like really interesting information, but we'll get a little bit more into that. But yeah, we recently actually today, and I think I knew of this documentary, I just never watched it, was the Chronicles of Olivia documentary with the Goncalves family. It was put out about 4 months ago, but we found a lot of very interesting information in that we're definitely going to get through this evening and talk about. But first we'll start off with kind of this Google thing that kind of popped up and we thought was kind of strange. And let me pull up Google Maps. So the other night we were kind of, futzing around with Google Maps, and, we were on there a couple of days kind of looking, just driving the area on Google Maps and, saying, all right, take a left and take a right and let's look there. And what angles could you see the house? And maybe, he was stalking it from here and this and that. Well, we found something kind of interesting that kind of happened, I don't know, within maybe a couple of days. So when you drop into King Road, and let me go up to King Road, let me go up Taylor. And you used to be able to, and I know a lot of people are talking about this house up here. If I can get on to Taylor, here we go. So if you go to up King, so this has recently been updated and blurred. There's a good excuse for that. I mean, you can write into Google and request for your information to be blurred from Google. So I'm probably pretty sure this house that's in that area just doesn't want to be, saw on Google Maps, the street view. But it's interesting because the other day you could go up into this area because we were actually up into this apartment area up here. You can't go up there anymore. And you can't get you can't get close to the house. And it's been blurred, which is interesting. And that's all really happened, in the last 2 or 3 days, Laura? We noticed that?
3 days.
Yeah.
3 days.
I don't know. Maybe it's been requested. Maybe someone in the family has requested it. Maybe the owner of the house or the university. I just find it very strange. It will not let you go up in that area anymore. And it's been blurred. So that's the big thing that's going on in Google now. You can't go up into the King Road area. I know a few people were talking about it earlier in the chat. It's just interesting, and a lot of shoes up there.
Lots.
So we wanted to go through that, kind of get that off the table. I know a lot of people have been speculating and talking about that through some other channels. Again, it's probably just requested that at the family, the university, or just the neighbors in that area, not wanting information to be, put out there, so that's kind of what I got out of it. You want to go through some of these new documents?
Yeah, let's take a look.
All right. So we had a document dump on 5/31. Looks like there's a new warrant from AT&T, Google, Reddit, Snapchat. We know that they pulled information back in November for Snap, but it looks like they're diving a little bit deeper. Strava, which was interesting. That's something that we haven't heard of yet, and we'll go through that. And then we have the TikTok warrants as well. So the first one here that I have that I'm going to pull up, and hopefully I have these in the right order that I just said. Let's see. I have the TikTok one first.
Oh, yeah.
So new timeline on TikTok. Thing that I noticed here, April 28, 2023, that it was requested on. So maybe they've come across some new information that they're looking at. I think the timeline has changed on these documents as well into a specific time period.
Yeah, that's the key thing that I pulled from these is that the documents are now looking back further than August 1st of 22. They're looking back from June 23rd through August 1st of 22.
Right. And what I've come with looking at this, so it says, obviously we've read all this legal language before through here. Lawrence Maroney puts this search warrant out, and it's saying it's looking for identifier or email addresses. I'm probably going to say it's redacted information of everybody that's in, that was in the King Road house that evening. Full names, email addresses, physical addresses, state, a lot of the information. IP addresses, I thought that was interesting. I haven't seen a lot of that before.
True.
And, as we go down, I don't know, where was the timeline on this one? Did this one have a physical?
I'm trying to.
Let me see. Look at my notes. I didn't get to this one. I got to AT&T, Google, Reddit, Snapchat, Strava. Of course, the first one I pull up is TikTok, and I don't have notes on it. It's right here. June 1st, 2022 to the present. So what I got,
TikTok's the whole thing.
What's that?
TikTok's the whole thing since they have not warranted TikTok yet.
Right. And what I think, what I got from really looking at it and looking at all these timelines, they're trying to establish when he was established out in Washington. I think, personally, and just talking with you and a couple of other people, we think that his date that he probably arrived in Pullman was around June 28th. Because if you look, a lot of the starting dates were the 27th, or I believe some of them were like the 22nd of June. And, we think that what I think is that he was out there about the 28th. The next one I wanted to pull up. Sorry, I have a huge burp that's coming out right now. The AT&T document.
I think he could have been out there as early as June 22nd or 23rd.
Okay.
But I think the one document, just because of that date and when he got the new cell phone, which was it was a Washington number, despite numbers being portable.
Sure.
It was a Washington number. So I assume he opened the new AT&T account out in Washington. That's where I gathered mine from. And I think that was the 23rd.
The 23rd. So let's see here. More redacted information here. Receipt and inventory. Let's see here. Where's the dates on this one? So this is from the time period of the 23rd to August 1st. So a very short window of time on this. But the thing that I found very interesting about it too, they're looking at two different phone numbers, AT&T wireless number, AT&T wireless number. Do you know, and like I said, I haven't really thought about this in a while. Do you know if he switched phone numbers at all when he transferred over his phone?
I believe he did, just from the basis that the phone number that they've been researching this entire time has been a Washington phone number.
Okay. And then what I'm trying to figure out again is, when did he sign up for his new phone? When did he transfer that over? Let me see. Let me pull up this. Let me look. He registered the new phone on I'm looking at my notes. Sorry,
So
everybody.
I'm looking.
June. Okay, so 6/23/22. Bryan Kohberger opens a cell phone account with AT&T in his name and registers it to Albright, PA address. So 6/23/22. And then they're looking here at the AT&T on 6/23/22, but it's strange to August 1st, 22nd. So could that mean maybe that they're looking at his previous phone, what information was in that week's time frame, and then he's obviously switched over to his new phone. Maybe they're looking at, did anything transfer over from his old phone to his new phone? Photos, documents, anything like that. Could that be a possibility? What do you think, Laura?
Oh, absolutely. I definitely think that they were looking at whatever transferred over, having two phones, assuming he didn't take the phone with him from, I assume he had Verizon, given that is the number one provider in Eastern Pennsylvania. So I'm assuming he had Verizon based upon that fact. He got a whole new phone, a whole new account, a whole new number, and they had to look back at some other stuff. I'm not really sure.
This is a fantastic screen name, but they make an absolutely awesome point. They said pineapple flavored lipstick lesbian. That's great. I mean, that's fantastic. She says the redacted is white and the whole page could have listed items. There is a long list on that as well. Let me see. Here. It does look like maybe there's some white out there. I mean, right here, you can tell something was definitely redacted, but you know, they do make a good point. This has a ton of information here as well. And I noticed in some previous documents, oh shit, I'm not sharing my screen. Sorry. All right, here we go. I noticed in some previous documents, the listed property was not this long. So that is a very good point and a good catch on that. Usually it's something very small like this area here, but it does go down a long time and you can almost see where the lines are kind of broken. So maybe they were whiting out information there as well. Again, I could be wrong. I don't know, but I find that to be very interesting. So that was a good catch. And then we had, let's see. We also had a new, so let's talk about Strava. I think this one's incredibly important. So what I found out with Strava is a app that a lot of runners, people that ride bikes, I think that you can do indoor activities with it as well. And it looks here, they're looking at specific dates too, and they go back quite a while with this, which is interesting.
What are the dates on that one?
Strava's between
right there it is.
7/22 and they all the way go to December 30th, 2022.
So this is mostly just Moscow and Pullman areas they're looking at.
Right up until the time he got arrested.
Oh, true.
But what's very interesting about this, let's say you have this app running on your phone. And as we know, a lot of apps on an iPhone or an Android phone will run in the background. And I've talked about this and I've done a stream about this. Even though you turn your phone off, an iPhone, even though if you have an iPhone and your phone is turned off, you have, and I forget what it's called inside of it. It's not like a gyroscope or something, but it will continuously collect data in your movements. And then when you fire your phone on, it'll take that data that it's captured and shoot that off to whatever satellite or cell tower or whatever cloud-based service that it's collecting on. I do know that. I've done a stream on this before. So that's why I said, even though Kohberger's phone, if it is Kohberger, turn his phone off, it's still going to collect data and send out some type of data. So let's say you have this Strava app on your phone and it's running in the background. That would be able to geolocate where you've been. And I find it interesting as well, too, on this warrant, they pulled everybody in that house. So I don't know, was someone else in that house an avid runner? or were they active, tracking their steps?
Wasn't Dylan Mortensen a runner? Wasn't after everything had happened, they caught her on video running from Starbucks?
Bethany Funk.
No, that was Dylan. It was Dylan. Let's see what the chat says.
I think it's Bethany Funk. Because it showed a picture before she was supposed to testify, and it showed her out running, going for a morning run. Let's see. Bethany Funk race results.
I just found something here.
Mm-hmm.
Surviving Idaho roommate Dylan Mortensen is seen outside her parents' home for the first time since it was revealed she froze in fear.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of people are saying Dylan was the build of a runner. She had the build of a runner. So let's just say there's an avid runner in that house as well. They use Strava, okay, and they have that on their phone too. So maybe they're looking to see that, the connection. So what I'm saying is, let's say Kohberger, if Kohberger did this, allegedly he did this, let's say that Strava's running on his phone in the background that night, it can geolocate him and put him in that house, maybe if and around those victims. And let's say this, we don't know, maybe those apps communicate and kind of link you with other runners in the area. So if someone has that on their phone and it's running, or if it's just on their phone, they may say, hey, there's another, I don't know how this app works. I'm just kind of throwing this off the cuff because I know a lot of these social apps will do this because I've had experience with them in the past, especially like Snapchat will do that too. If you're in and around area with your friends or something, it'll ping your friends in the area, or how does that kind of work?
You can see your friends on the Snap map, only your friends. The only time you can see people you're not friends with is if they add a snap to the map. So if somebody, is running somewhere, they would add that to the snap map, but then also you would see like this person, but I don't think you can see their username. I think you can just see the snap. So you have to be friends with the person to see where they're at.
Afro Leon's banjo hits of the 70s. Great
These
name.
are good names tonight.
Because how can Kohberger's run in the morning before class? How about this? I get up about six o'clock every day. I eat my breakfast, and then I head to the gym, and then I go to work. So people do it. It is a possibility. So anyway, I think, and then this was put out there, which was interesting too. I know this was floating around. Let me show you. So Kohberger actually posted on Strava once 6 minute mile, which is nothing to shy away from. That's pretty fucking good if that is him. Just over a mile. That would show to me that he's pretty physically fit, pretty athletically, and his endurance is very good. So I know this has been put out, 12:45 a.m. Hey, he's a weird guy. It's probably nothing to do. Going to go out for a run late at night. So,
and doesn't it this really tests your endurance. Sorry, my cat is moving my laptop right now. The famous cat. For like every mile you can run like that, it's so long, like you can withstand like in a fight, like an endurance thing. So to run 6 miles, you have endurance.
So this is interesting. Terry Dean says the Strava app was used in Caitlin Armstrong's case. It shows how she tracked her victim, Mo Wilson. And I do know that they do have, I would assume that they have pretty, active runner groups. And I was just saying this today to someone like, wow, I wonder if he met one of these girls through a running group, or maybe if Ethan was, a runner and he was in a group with them and say, hey, you know what, why don't you come by the house sometime and come hang out, or, something like that. Your cat tail's amazing. It's like,
sorry. she's after me right now. She's literally trying to, get on live.
So anyway, I mean, this has been out there. It's on Twitter. I thought I'd just pull it up and show to everybody. I think just the other documents that I'm not going to really go too much in, because we want to really get into this Chronicles of Olivia, about the Goncalves family, how we feel that, they pretty much know everything, in my opinion. I think they have a pretty damn good idea of what went on in the house that night. But I think with the other documents, basically what they're doing is trying to establish a timeline and looking back and really figuring out, where was the communication, if anything. I know that there's the Snapchat. They pulled all of their Snapchat stuff for all the victims in the house. I don't think Bryan Kohberger was on the document, but they were looking at, who was communicating during a certain amount of time too. So again, I think it's just to establish timeline.
Yeah, and a background of who was communicating with who and about what even.
Right. All right. Do you want to get into Chronicles of... I want to keep saying Naria, but it's not Naria. It's not Naria.
Yeah, I'll be back in like 1 minute.
Okay. Take your time. I'll hold the crowd down.
Please do. Please do.
So what I wanted to do is talk a little bit about this Chronicles of Olivia video. If you haven't seen that, it was posted about 4 months ago. And it's funny, I haven't had a chance to watch it. And I got to sit down today and actually relax and watch it. What I'm going to do is, if you haven't seen that, just so if anybody hasn't seen it, I'll drop the link here in the chat. And if you want to go over and check it out after, Laura and I kind of talk about it this evening, I urge you to check that out. But it was a very eye-opening documentary, and there was a lot of, I think, like Easter eggs in it, and we found out a lot of information where, when Laura and I were looking at it, I said, I have a great feeling that I have a really good feeling that the Goncalves family knows a lot more about what happened and what is going on than we're leading to, to be. And I think that's probably, and Laura agrees with this as well, why we think that the the gag order was put in place. But what I want to do first is, there was an interview, and this kind of is going to lead into our segue. There was an interview that Steve Goncalves recently did with Banfield about 2 weeks ago. And it was funny because in this interview, you're going to see a different Steve. I think he's in a different stage of grieving, but he does let out a little bit more information again in this interview that kind of led us to believe like they know a lot more what's going on than they're leading the public to believe. So let's play this, and we'll use that as our segue to go in and talk about this Chronicles of Olivia documentary or interview that they had with the Goncalves family. All right, let's take this here.
Not to pry and ask which of the girls you were talking to. But
so this was, and just to give context to everybody, this was what prior to the indictment, in and around when Bethany Funk was being was going to be talked to by the grand jury, correct?
Oh yeah, before we knew about the grand jury, when she was supposed to be interviewed by the defense.
That's it. I'm sorry. There's been so much time and so many dates, you get mixed up. But what I want to preference here is he's going to start off the cuff right away talking about, the girls have been talking, meaning Bethany and Dylan. They've been talking to either me or the family. And I really want you guys to listen to this because I think that it's very informative.
Did she give details about some of what she's been processing in these 6 months?
Well, between all the different families, I think both girls are talking. They're talking to somebody. One might be talking to me, one might be talking to someone else. So I think we have a good understanding of some of the details that haven't been made public, but we're just holding it close to the chest, and we're making sure that everything goes through the court process.
That's right there. He said
right there.
Let's go back.
they're talking to somebody. All the different families, I think both girls are talking. They're talking to somebody. One might be talking to me, one might be talking to someone else. So I think we have a good understanding of some of the details that haven't been made public, but we're just holding it close to the chest, and we're making sure that everything goes through the court.
Again, right there, keeping everything held to the chest. Everything held to the chest.
Processes, and everybody gets a fair shot, and everything is done in the right order. To mothers and fathers that really don't have any idea how this should work, we never seen ourselves in this spot, and we're just living one day by day.
There's no playbook, for this, and it's a very exclusive club. I often say, very unwelcome, exclusive club that you're a member of, Steve. You are, I don't know where you get the strength and the fortitude, but you were there when Kohberger made that first appearance in January. Are you planning to be there on Monday?
Yeah, I'm going to stick to the message that this family will do everything in its power to make sure that if everything rolls out and we know for a fact with the evidence that this is the person, then he's got pit bulls after him. So we're going to be there at every moment, analyzing every piece of data, going through everything to make sure that it is the right person, and we hold them accountable. And that, that kind of pressure has to come from more than just one parent. It has to come from all of us, and that's what we're working on. I know on Monday I won't be the only parent down there. There'll be other families there, and I think it's a moment of solidarity that we're getting more and more people active, and you got to give people time to figure out how they want to respond and how they're going to just wake up and deal with an everyday situation. But they're all starting to get their power and their strength, and they're all ready to go to court. And I think that courtroom's going to get more and more crowded.
Do you mind me asking if you know what other parents are planning to be there Monday?
I don't want to put them on the hook in case they wake up that morning and they don't feel like going. But I know of 2 other families that are planning on being there. We're organizing even the path that we get down there together. So anything can happen, and everyone has the ability to decide to change their mind. But I'll be there. I won't be changing my mind, and we'll have at least 9 seats of us there. And I hope that some of the other families feel that the more uncomfortable we can make this room, and the more that we can represent each person that was robbed of their lives, the best we can do. I mean, it's not going to fix the situation, but there should be some accountability when you take people that are special.
We've been showing some of the pictures of the scene of the crime, which will be featured heavily in this trial. I know the university was going to keep you updated as to the plans to demolish 1122 King Road. They said it would happen during the semester. Now the semester is over. Have they kept their word at the university and kept you informed about the plan for the demolition? And as well as that, have all the parents been able to pick up their kids' belongings for the final time?
We have not.
I just want to pause here for a second because I think this is a really great chat that I want to kind of expunge on a little bit. First of all, let's do this. Let's get those likes up to 100. We get 275 people watching. If we get that to 100, I really would appreciate it. Maybe I'll gift out a membership tonight so you have exclusive access to all of our members' content. Shipley says, I pray that they get justice they deserve. Things are so crazy with this case. And I have to 100% agree with this. And I think one of the things that has been really crazy, and I'm going to get a little bit more into this later in the show, is that there's a lot of misinformation that's being put out there, especially about this family. And I think there's a lot of misinformation being put out there on other YouTube channels that are, for some reason, the families, the victims, the friends, they've all become the bad people in this case. It's not the person that's accused of doing this. It's not the alleged person of doing this. It's those families, which I don't understand that. I don't see how this is turned on them and that they've become the bad guys in all of this. What do you think about that, Laura?
Yeah, I don't know why people want to always make the families the victim or take the I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Why they want to make the victims or the victims' families look like the villain. They're not. They just want justice. And that's sad that people have to do that.
Let's talk a little bit more about that. We'll finish this up and then we'll get into the Chronicles. I want to keep saying Naria, and it's not Naria. The Chronicles of Olivia
yes.
interview. Let me get my screen back into position here.
Not been able to pick those things up, which we would understand that might be very close to the moment that it's down, that it's going to be torn down, like maybe equipment's moving in. So we pushed back a little bit just because different parents have seen different court cases and have tried to get themselves self-educated on what we're going to go through. And they found cases where important evidence had been discovered, and they went back to the crime scene and actually it clarified things for different jury members. I don't know the exact story, but I just know that that's a reality that has been spoken to me. So we pushed back and said, hey, let's wait on this until at least everybody's on the same page, including the defendant. I want the defendant to be able to say, there's nothing in that house that's important to us. I want the truth. We want the right person. So we have every motion to sit back and say, hey, we can slow this down. We don't have to rush anything. I understand it's a little difficult for the community, but we all have to come together and we have to do what's right for these young adults that were put in this situation, and we're the only voices that they have. So we've asked to slow that down, and they've respected that.
Steve Goncalves, it's good to see you again and talk to you again. I can't thank you enough for volunteering to be on this program with us. And I know that a lot of the people who are watching right now, if you can feel it, they're sending their love to you just like we are as well. And to Christy and the kids as well. Our best to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Just real quick in this chat, Jingles78 says, Brain, I think she meant Brian. She says, I love the new name. I watch you all the time. I just don't chat much. I love the channel. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It does. It feels like a big weight lifted off my shoulders, because this has been kind of bothering me for a while to kind of change the name, get this into a little bit more of a professional space. Again, I didn't know where Opinionated Idiot was going to take off when I first relaunched the channel many times. When I went with Opinionated Idiot, I was going to be more of a political channel, but here I am talking about true crime, and we have many other things planned here for the channel going forward. But right now, this is a case of importance, and it needs to be talked about. So Laura, let's get into this Chronicles of Olivia. You kind of turned me on to this documentary today. You sent it over. I think I may have, once I started to view it, saw some clips that were out there. I think some conversations about it. If anybody hasn't seen it, I would deeply tell you to go invest your time. It's about a 40-minute exclusive interview with the Goncalves family by a trusted TikToker that Kaylee actually followed. Chronicles of I want to say Naria. Stop saying this. Olivia. And it was a trusted TikToker that the Goncalves family reached out to and actually welcomed her into their home to shoot this 40-minute interview. It was done very well. It was much like a film, which was great. And I think it gave you some really raw insights to the Goncalves family, who they are as people, how their family runs, how close they are to that community in and around King Road. We found and discovered that they have family that live in and around that area. They knew a lot of people And I don't know. I got a really good sense of who they were. What were your thoughts on it when you first saw it?
When I first watched it back in January, I thought it was very heartfelt, but it wasn't until I rewatched it today that I realized just how much information was given to us from the Goncalves family about the whole case. No wonder they have a gag order, because they are not holding back, nor should they. However, they're forced to. So I really got a lot of little tidbits here and there, because since January, we've learned so much about the case, had so many documents come out. We've learned a lot since that date. So yeah, I thought it was fabulous. Highly recommended. If you have not found it, go out to YouTube, type in Chronicles of Olivia, and watch the Goncalves family documentary.
Yeah. So some things that kind of really jumped out at to me right away was we knew that Kaylee followed Chronicles of Olivia on TikTok, and that's why Steve reached out to her. And I said, well, how would Steve know who Kaylee was following on TikTok, or who was? And I said he had to have had access to her phone and her contacts, which later in the documentary, and by the way, a lot of spoiler alerts in here if you haven't seen it. So if you don't want to get spoiled, I would say watch this on a replay, but we're going to spoil it. What we later found out was Kaylee's mom, Christy, mirrored Kaylee's phone. So she had access to her phone. And that to me was like, wow, that's the aha moment.
Yeah.
They knew every single conversation that Kaylee was having, where she was going, what she was doing on that phone. And I went, oh, they know everything. The Goncalves family knows everything. They might not know every minute, detail, every interesting detail, small detail, but they know a lot. They know a lot.
Yeah. And something interesting that I found was that they knew the driver, the private driver that night. It wasn't Uber. It was a private driver. So they knew him personally. The whole family did. They said he was a good guy, and he's the one that showed them all about the grub truck, and which led to Olivia, the older sister, finding the footage.
Yeah. And I think, like, when I thought about that, like, private driver, this is probably someone that Steve probably established some type of connection, because there are a lot of, in and around these cities. I know that, I've been on vacation plenty of times, and like before Uber, they would have like drivers, a private driver you could hire. There was a guy that we hired literally for like the weekend. We gave him like $100 and said, hey, can you just pick us up if we need to call you? He said, sure, just here's my number, call me, I'll come pick you. He became our private driver. So maybe this is someone that Steve or the family that probably vetted this person. And we know that we learn in this documentary that they had family in and around that area of King Road.
Yeah.
Probably someone that was trusted and said, hey, if you girls ever need to go anywhere, you call this person and they will come get you and drive you. We also know that night that Steve said in this documentary, they did everything right. They had the buddy system. They were together. They stuck together. That leads me to believe on the phone, they were looking at conversations, hey, we're going to go home, or we're together. They were probably communicating with friends, hey, I'm with Maddie or whatever. Do you want to talk about the ring video? Because that's going to kind of lead us into the ring video.
Yeah, that's where I was like, wait, what?
Wait a minute, back up.
Yeah, I didn't pick this up. It says, I'm trying to look at I have my notes on two different devices. I haven't updated it on my computer. It says
Christy, yep.
Christy said that I think it was Olivia that watched the ring video of the neighbors that saw them pull up to 1122 King Road at 1:56 a.m., which is how they were able to tell the police, you have your timeline a little off, because at 1:56 a.m. the girls were spotted being dropped off by the driver at 1:56 a.m. Yep. So then we couldn't, okay, so if Olivia saw that footage of her sister and Maddie,
Christy said she watched the video.
The whole family watched it regardless.
What they talked about, what Chronicles of Olivia discovered, was they were talking about the bar video, and the timeline on the timestamp on the video didn't match what it would be at the time that they would be at the grub truck. And when you kind of went in reverse order, it just didn't match. And they said maybe it was a time zone thing. They didn't switch the cameras because of the time zone. And then what Olivia discovered was there was a video on Twitch that she got the accurate timestamp. And that's what led Christy to talking about, oh, we've seen the neighbor's ring cam video. We know when the girls pulled up. We watched them walk into the house. It was at 1:56 a.m. And I said to Laura before we went live, I said, if they saw that, they saw everything that happened. Who probably went to the house that morning, because we know that there were multiple people that were called to the house. They probably have seen when law enforcement rolled up. I mean, they saw everything.
They've seen everything. Who came, who went.
Again, we're alleging here, but this is our opinion.
We believe that if they saw the girls pull up at night on their way home, they probably got access to everything from that ring cam doorbell. So imagine what they know.
We went on to find out that they talked about the Land Rover, because that was a lot of question about that. Where did the Land Rover come from? Was this there was a lot of awful rumors out there about possibly the girls doing things online, strip shows and stuff to get that money. Well, we went to find out that Kaylee bought the Range Rover with her own money. She had a full-time paid internship that eventually turned into her full-time job.
Yep.
Listen, it's not very hard to buy a car. You get a couple of grand together, you put it down, you get a note, you get a car note. I mean, we've all done that. And we went to learn to find out that she never had anything. Steve was very adamant about that. Nothing has ever been handed to her. She's always worked for it. And she's always been the type of person that looked to the family as reassurance. And they talked about that. Like, Dad, these are the 3 cars that I'm looking at. What do you think? Should I go with this one? She talked about when she went to actually apply to her paid internship for her full-time job, and she ran it by him and said, should I write this in my proposal letter? And he said, well, what do you think? What do you think is the right thing to do? She always really looked for that reassurance. I also got that Christy was extremely talkative through the interview, and I could only imagine Kaylee probably mirroring, I'm just kind of going off my own assumption that Kaylee probably mirroring a little bit of that, that trait out of Christy, just being really conversational. She was she was a huge prankster, very, very competitive. They talked about when they went on, I think, vacation once, and the water was like 58 degrees. And she said, I'll do it. Everybody, I'll bet you $5 to run and jump. She said, I'll do it. She jumped in and was like, oh my God. And we really got a good insight to, who Kaylee was. And it's sad. It's really sad. She was the it girl in the house. We did find that out. Just trying to think. I'm just looking at my notes. Oh, so going to Jack D. Did you want to talk about Jack D?
That they were very critical of him. He went to the Goncalves family immediately. They took photos of his body to ensure that he didn't have any signs of scratches or anything. I mean, they vetted him. They made sure that he had no marks on him and no proof of any type of stuff.
Any involvement, right? Yeah. And they said that Jack went there and I think stayed
like 3 days.
Like 3 days at the house, and he was just crying and upset. And I would think, and we've seen updates now because the Goncalves family has that Facebook page. I mean, Jack's been over the house, and I would think Steve is the type of guy that if he thought that Jack was involved in anything, he would not be staying at their house.
Yeah, exactly.
We also know, and I think I remember Steve saying that they did investigate Adam and have some conversations with him as well, because as we know, Adam knows everything. And that's, sorry, it's kind of the running joke on my channel. And we heard about the date that she went on about 2 weeks after she broke up with Jack. They were cooking a quesadilla or something. The guy basically called her a bitch, and she's like, well, I'm out of here. I'm not going to hang out with you. And I know that was some rumor that they think that could have been Kohberger. I don't get that feeling.
I don't know. It could have been, it couldn't have been. I mean, I'd like to see, I mean, I want to see all the info. So, I mean, maybe that'll come out in trial if that has anything to do with it.
Another extremely good point that led me to believe that they had access to Kaylee's phone and knew everything that was going on that night. They talked about Kaylee reaching out to Jack D that night, and constantly like the phone calls and texting. And I think Steve even said something to the fact of like trying to really get Jack to call her and like, I'm gonna leave with the dog tonight. You know, where would you just kind of pull that out of thin air if you didn't have access and see what messages were being sent back and forth? So, and listen, we know that Steve has said this, and I know a lot of people give him shit about it and go, you know, he goes, I'm an IT guy. I'm an IT guy. So he's an IT guy. I'm sure he has tracks on all his family's phones. I would want that if I'm an IT person, and to have the ability, and he probably had that conversation with his family. If anything happens to you, I need to know what's going on in your phone, because your phone tells you everything about someone. You know, there's the old joke. If you start to date someone, tell them to pull up their YouTube front page and look what's on there. It will tell you a lot about that person. So, you know, again, I think that they knew a lot more than they're saying.
Yeah, and something that I gathered from it that I didn't gather from it before is they started out by talking about how the day went. They said that it was Sunday around 1 where they were watching football, and their niece called them. Christy, their niece called them and said somebody called her.
Smash,
and said that someone shot the party up.
Yes.
And Kaylee's phone went straight to voicemail. So then they started calling Maddie, and they couldn't get Maddie. And then they, you know, the sheriff came around 4:30 and told them there were 4 victims. But during all of this, one of their younger daughters got a call from someone saying Kaylee was dead. I mean, that's devastating. That's just, think of a teenage girl getting a call saying your older sister's dead. Like I just, that's awful.
Yeah, the first initial rumor, like Laura was saying, from the niece was, oh my God, there was a shooting at the house and everybody's dead. And then it went to like the unconscious person, and they were like, literally, Christy said she threw her phone on the phone. She didn't want to hear it. They went to the TV and looked, and they saw the news report right away, and it was like King Road, unconscious person. They went, well, maybe someone's just sick. So they said that, I think a cousin or a brother, Kaylee has a brother, correct?
Yes.
No.
Kaylee has a brother, Steven.
They started calling the hospitals right away saying, hey, you know, is there someone, Kaylee or Maddie, or, you know, they were just giving names, and nothing came back. Then they called the police department. The police said, we can't give you any details right now. And then they got the call about 4:30 that afternoon.
Yeah. And on the news, they could see all their vehicles in front of the house on King Road. And I mean, that was just, devastating. But then Maddie's relative said they called her, and she also got a call, and she had said that there was an accident, and they told her to come down to Moscow. So she was already just about to Moscow when the sheriff's office, or the sheriffs, visited the Goncalves family. So it sounds like it was a very confusing and crazy day there. And the Goncalves family were like, well, why didn't we get a call? So they thought it was Maddie that was harmed, because there was mention of an accident. But then when the sheriff's office came, they found everything out then.
I'm going to give away a membership right now. We got a new member. And first, let me just read this real quick. So Dave Hargrove says, Bryan, I love the channel. You're one of the best YouTubers covering this case. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate you so much. give them a round of applause on that one. I thank you. We appreciate you. And please make sure to smash the like button.
Smash, smash, smash.
So we have a new member, and gift of the membership is MJC. You are have 1 month free on. You have all the access to all the membership content, and we do members only streams. So welcome to the group. You get a free month on me. Congratulations. So yeah, I think it really gave a good insight to the Goncalves family. I think we had, for them to open their hearts and in their house, to someone that they've never really met, fully through, just through basically their daughter following them on TikTok and giving them that exclusive access to come into their home and get, very, intimate with them. And I think one of the saddest things that we found out at the end of the video was that Kaylee and Maddie were cremated, and their remains and their ashes stay together. And it's just very, very sad to see and hear that, knowing their relationship. And Christy did talk about that, the day that Kaylee met Maddie, she came home and she was just talking about this new friend that she met at school, and they were always just inseparable. They weren't blood sisters, but they were sisters. And even though they went, to the same college, they tried to rush the same sorority. Kaylee made it in, Maddie didn't, but they ended up kind of getting two new groups of friends, but really still had that sisterhood no matter what. And that bond was very, very strong, and it was an unbreakable bond. They were always together. So that just leads me to go on and talk about a little bit more in depth before we end the show this evening about how I get very disgusted in the sense of that these families, especially the Goncalves family, and I think especially Steve and Christy, they become the bad people in all of this. And I just don't see how that happens. And I think it's very disgusting.
I don't get it.
Yeah, there's channels out there that put this type of content out and say, they're the ones that caused this. They're the ones that are bad. They're the ones that are in on it. They're covering it up. And I just say shame on you, because if you feel righteous about putting content out there about a family that lost their daughter, their best friend, their daughter's best friend, and then, especially the two other lives that were lost there, Ethan and Xana that night, that if you can go to bed at night and lay your head down and feel consciously, I guess, good about that, I think you're honestly a piece of shit. I mean, I myself would never say anything into the camera that I would never say to Steve's face. You got to think about it. These families' lives are affected for the rest of their lives. And I'm amazed that Steve and Christy have had this incredible bond, and I hope it lasts for the rest of their lives, because a death and murder in family, and I know this with my best friend that was murdered, it breaks families apart, because you go into the blame game. Did we do enough? Did we not do enough? Did we overly do too much? Did we not protect them enough? This tears families apart. So when your life is continuing and you're putting this crap out there, remember, their lives have stopped. Their lives are never going to be the same. Their lives will never be like yours. They have to live with this the rest of their life. What do you think? What do you think about stuff like that, Laura?
I mean, I hope the Goncalves family knows that they're stronger together than they are apart. What a solid group of people. I know that if I lived near Coeur d'Alene, I would want to be friends with the Goncalves family. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I think they're great people. Of course, everybody has their faults or whatever, but they lost their daughter. I mean, and they seem like such a strong family unit. So I applaud them for putting their lives out there and going public with everything.
Yeah. So I can't get, past that. It really bothers me. So Christine Brown says, I'm recently seeing the ugly side of YouTube. I mean, anyone saying anything about these families should feel ashamed. Completely agree. I completely agree. I saw another going up here. Bobby says they're not the ones that caused this. The person to persons that did this is who's responsible for causing this. Goes on. Terry Dean says, I always assume the families will be watching. It keeps you genuine and kind. Absolutely. You know, I've said that 1,000 times. If you don't think that any of those family members are watching what we're talking about and what we're doing, you're nuts. You're absolutely nuts. If you don't think the police or even the FBI are watching and what we're talking about, we know certainly YouTube is watching us, then you're nuts. You know, and Angel says the 4 families will always be bonded in such a tragic way. It's so sad for all of them. Yeah, I completely agree. I see a lot of new names tonight. It's really nice that there's a lot of new people. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button. If you're enjoying the content over here, we would appreciate it. Trying to just build this channel up, get it out there into that algorithm, and all the interaction that you all have on this channel. It really helps us out. I do have memberships down there for $1.99 a month. If you want to support monthly, you can. You can hit the join button down below. I would appreciate it. But the most important thing is that you're liking this video, because that helps get this out into the YouTube algorithm. So I don't know, Laura, any final thoughts on how you feel? How you feel about this case, the things that's put out. I would urge everybody to go over and watch that docu. I'll drop that one more time in the chat before we close this up. I'm trying to keep the streams a little bit shorter because I get better interaction on replay. But let me grab the.
Yeah, I definitely recommend going out to Chronicles of Olivia and watching this. I wish we could hear from more of the families like this, not just the Goncalves family, just because all the victims need a voice. And I know the Goncalves family also includes Maddie, but I'd love to hear more about the other families and the victims. This is just one of the most bizarre cases I think we will ever experience in our lives. And I'm very anxious to get to the trial, let these families get justice. It's not going to bring back their children, their best friends, their boyfriends, their girlfriends. It's not going to bring anybody back, but justice, no matter who that is that did this, still goes.
You want to answer this one, Laura?
Okay.
I'll read it out. So it says, I'm still confused about the evidence in the house. If there were people in the house before the cops came, would that be considered tampering with evidence where the defense asked for dismissal of the evidence?
I mean, right now we don't know what the extent of people being in the house were.
Right.
I believe that there was at least Ethan's best friend. And I pulled that from Ethan's best friend was in the house on the eulogy. Ethan, a young man by the name of Hunter, not the twin, Hunter Johnson, I believe it was, came up and said he was Ethan's best friend. He was the one in the house. I don't believe he could be charged with tampering with evidence if he was just merely there to check the well-being. However, if we find out that there was a parade of people coming in and taking pictures or moving things or cleaning things up, I think that's a different situation. So I'm confused too. I want to see what's going on.
So Terry says, I received my target gift, Brian. I'm hanging on my opinionated idiot bracelet. I'll auction it off as a collector's item. That's very sweet. If you're just coming into the channel, my channel actually gone through a couple changes. I used to be the opinionated idiot, and I just went back to an old name that has just really sung with me for a long time. And I wanted to go back to Let's Talk Live to really open the platform up, have a little bit more of a professional name, because I think when I was reaching out to people and said, hey, I'm the opinionated idiot, I don't think they really wanted to come over here. But and unfortunately sometimes names speak volumes in this business. And there's nothing wrong with opinionated idiot. It just really was going in this direction, and I think this platform and this name can open up a wider audience and a wider group of topics that we can talk about. So let's see. I wanted to bring up Christine Brown just gifted a membership. Thank you, Christine, so much. And
Thanks, Christine.
new member. Congratulations. Hey, look, it's Donna G. She got the Fire HD tablet. If you guys all missed it, or ladies and gentlemen, sorry, I did a stream from my 5,000 subscriber episode. We did a 5,000 subscriber episode. I gave away a bunch of Target gift cards, and I also gave away a Fire HD tablet, brand new Fire HD tablet, the most top one that they have. And Donna actually was the winner of that. So when we get to 10,000 subscribers, we're going to do another giveaway, and I think the prize is going to be a little bit bigger. So Uber says, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the $2 donation. I do appreciate that. I'm getting better at the button pushing. You notice that? So thanks for that super chat. I appreciate it. Laura, anything else you want to go over or mention? I mean, again, there hasn't been a lot lately. No. You know, I just wanted to come on. It's been a little while since we've talked to Idaho. I'm going to probably come on tomorrow night. I may change the subject. I'm not too sure. But I did want to follow up with part 3 of just kind of what the experts are saying at this point, because we've heard about all of the YouTubers, what they're saying, all the things they're dragging out. But I really wanted to kind of see what experts are saying. But I don't know. Maybe we'll switch it up a little bit and do something different.
I'm just glad to be back. I'm glad to be feeling almost 100%.
I'm glad to have you here, of course.
You've
all been kind of my confidant in all of this, and my partner in this, and I appreciate you coming over and doing the Idaho stuff, because I know you're super passionate about this, as much as this audience that watches the show is very passionate about it, and I am too. And I think that sometimes when I get extremely emotional about it, when I see the shit that's put out there about these families on some of the other channels, it's just, to me, it's just pretty disgusting, and it shouldn't happen. And if they just really invested the time to watch these videos and see the pain on the faces that they're going through and the grieving process that they're going through, I think it will open your heart and open your mind a little bit more to let you know that these people, these families didn't deserve it. And these girls didn't know this was going to happen. And no one in that house knew that this was coming. That's my opinion. And they didn't deserve this. And to me, for me, I mean, 1122 will always ring in my head. That'll never go away. That'll be with me for the rest of my life. 1122, 1122. I will always say that, because I'm just so connected to this. I've been reporting on it for almost 5 months, 4 or 5 months. It will never go away. And my curiosity in all of this now, and the thing that you'll notice here on this channel when Laura and I talk, or anybody else that I have on this panel at any time, we stick to the facts in this case. We use the legal documents to base our opinions or our investigations off of. We don't go off crazy conspiracies, or it's this, or it's that, it's the aliens, it's the cats, it's the cat tail.
Yeah.
All that weird stuff.
That tried to. She's here, right here next to me.
It's the secret trenches under the house of the dungeon. We don't go there. We keep it, I hate saying this stuff, we keep it real, but we keep it real. We keep it true. What's that? The cat? I can hear him.
Yeah. As soon as you said we keep it real, she climbed in.
So, that's what you're going to get here. And that's what you're going to get here on Let's Talk Live. And, come check us out. Smash that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, come see our live shows, because this is a live channel. And what I'm trying to get, I think we're going to do something where we have some other people come on and we do kind of a group session one night, because we do some really good back room. And I always say, I wish we were recording this right now. And I think we're going to do that one night. If I can get everybody to kind of commit to it, we'll come on and do an hour and bring some more people on the panel and really hear what, my moderators have to say, and some of the people that are in our group, and see what they have to say about this too. So again, wanted to come on and do a short show for you guys, just an hour, keep it a little lower this evening. Maybe we'll do a longer Saturday night show tomorrow night. Maybe get Laura back on tomorrow night. We'll hang out and do a little bit more content here in Idaho. Maybe get some more other guests on here. we'll find out and open up the panel a little bit. Maybe take some calls. We haven't done that in a while, and hear where all the craziness is out there. But okay, guys, appreciate it. Make sure to smash that like button on the way out. Hit that subscribe button. Turn that bell notification on. I do appreciate it. And we'll be back tomorrow night at, what's my scheduled show tomorrow night? I think it's 9 o'clock. Oh, it's a late one tomorrow. Tomorrow's 10 o'clock. 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come over. Late Saturday night show. Maybe we'll take some calls. That is the link for tomorrow night show. Go over and click it. Hit your reminder. Appreciate it. Laura, thank you so much for coming back.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad that you feel better.
Thanks.
And we'll see all of you guys soon. Again, I'm Bryan. Let's Talk Live. Laura, Agent Chase, thank you so much. And we will catch you on the next show. Good night.